And we're in the garden this morning, getting ready to plant the elephant garlic. I've put about 2 inches of compost all over the top of this area and then broad forked it in. And I'm just getting ready to lay the drip tape for the plants. And we're going to be putting elephant garlic all down this side, because we planted it on the other side of the garden last year. So you're not supposed to plant things same thing in consecutive years, even though we've tilled this up several times in order to break it up, because it's just basically barren underneath here. So that's what we're up to. First, we're going to put in the drip tape along here. Then we're going to cover it with row cover or the weed barrier, because that stuff really works. And then we're going to plant the bulbs down in the holes of the weed barrier. That's already, this was from last year, and you can see it's already got the holes in it. So we should be in good shape. Oh, when I'm broad forking, we're still finding sweet potatoes all over the garden. Those runners off of the sweet potatoes, they just set down roots and grow wherever. We've still got some plants. I think we've even got a watermelon plant trying to grow right there. There's some more sweet potatoes that are in this part of the garden that didn't give up. So this whole area right here will be cleaned as soon as I finish with this. This is going to be reserved for potatoes next year, and this whole area up here is going to be corn. I'm trying to install or plant a kind of a aroma barrier, I guess you would say, planting marigolds all along this edge and onions. The Egyptian onions are going to go in on this side of here, and then subsequent rows will be the onion plants that we got from Haas Tools. And so hopefully that will prevent the deer from coming on out of the bushes back here, the weeds that may disappear here this winter. That's another story. So at any rate, I got to get busy, and I will update in just a while. I've now got the bed, the garlic bed, raked out, smoothed out a little bit to start putting in the drip tape. I'm using 4-foot wide weed barrier, and I'm going to have 3 rows, each a foot apart. So first thing I'm going to do is stretch a line down there, mark where the drip tape is going to go, and then install the drip tape down a few inches under the ground. Then I will cover that up and then stretch out the row cover or the weed barrier over here on the side, put it on a measuring tape, and put it holes in it every foot, because that's where the emitters are on the drip tape. So then when I lay in the drip tape, I'm going to lay this one and this one with the emitters close together, or at the same space, and then in the one in the center I'm going to put it 6 inches up, so they're not exactly in line with one another. So here we go. I'll give you an update as we go along. We've got one of the furrows dug for the drip tape, and we've got the line strung for the second furrow. It's difficult. It's going to be difficult and probably backbreaking to dig this next one, because I got to lean over the bed. I'm trying to keep my feet off of it as much as possible, because this dirt is really fluffed up. I don't know if you can see it or not right here, but had to walk down there when I was raking this out, and the footprints that I put in here, probably, you know, 4 or 5 inches deep. It's sinking up to my ankles. It's so fluffy. So this is going to be the pathway in here anyway, and so walking on here is not a big issue. So I will do my best to stay off of the bed, the grow space, and then we'll dig the other 2 furrows. We've got to test our drip tape because it's drip tape that I used last season in this bed right over here for the corn, and I got to make sure that it doesn't have any leaks in it. So we will dig the furrows, and then we will test the drip tape, and then we will lay it in the furrows, cover it up a little bit with a little bit of dirt, and then we'll go from there to plant. All right, I've got the mainline PVC pipe all plugged where we're not using it. I opened the end of the valve to purge the line in case there was any dirt in it. You can see the water that come out there. And I opened the valves on all 3 of these. You can see that it's dripping. However, as we travel up the drip tape, got a little problem here. This is why we test it. We got 1, 2, 3 holes, and so I'm going to fix that, and I'll be right back. Okay, got the splices in. One here, and one over here. Got a little bit of a leak there in these splices, but hey, it's irrigation, right? Some of that is from the emitters running down. I don't know if you can see that. Dripping. Some of it's from the emitters because they put out quite a bit of water. So that's good to go. Now we'll finish with the furrows, lay in the tape, cover it up, and we'll be ready, almost ready to plant. Okay, I had to cover up 2 of the drip tapes in the furrows, and we fertilized. After we put the drip tape in, we fertilized with some a generous portion of 10-10-10. Looks like this, and we just put it in the furrow like so, because this is really going to be underneath the garlic bulbs as we plant them. So let me go ahead and finish up fertilizing that, and I'm going to close up the furrows, and then we're going to put a little bit of organic fertilizer on top of it. It's a special fertilizer that's very low in NPK, but it's got a lot of micronutrients in it because it's all organic and decomposed chicken manure. At any rate, let me finish this up, and then I'll be back to you. The sun has come out and dried up just the very top of the bed, and so now you can see the fertilizer on there every foot this way and 3 rows across. And so that's where the garlic bulbs are going to go. This bed is 33 feet long, and if you take into consideration one off the end here, we're going to have about 96 plants in this bed. So we've got all of the tape and the measuring tape and the strings out of the way. So now we're going to lay the weed barrier on top of it, and then just burn the holes in the same spot as we burned the as we put the fertilizer. So I'll be back with you in a minute. Just another word about laying out the beds and keeping them straight and square. If you don't keep these straight with the drip tape straight and your rows straight, it becomes very difficult to manage, and it's much easier if you know exactly, like I know exactly, the emitters for each one of these is underneath these little piles of fertilizer. So and another thing about the drip tape, if you saw me put a couple of pieces of or a couple of splices on the drip tape, and if you're going to be using drip tape, you better get yourself a bag of those splices, because if you've got a garden that's any length at all and you blow out a piece of drip tape in the middle, what are you going to do? Throw away the whole piece of drip tape? The drip tape is reusable, but it gets kinks in it, it gets punctures, you step on it, it gets holes in it, and over a period of time it gets leaks in it. The splices help you not only to put together a piece of drip tape that is that has a hole in it, but it also gives you the opportunity to increase the length of the bed if need be. So, word to the wise. I've got the weed barrier laid out beside the bed for the garlic, and I did that. I'm trying to do everything that I can to stay off of the bed to keep that soil nice and loose for the roots to grow. I'll have to get on it when we start planting, but other than that, what I'm going to do is go down the other end and cut that off. And you know that whenever you use any of this weed barrier, you've got to use a torch to cut it, because if you don't, it frays really, really bad, and you'll be fighting that for like ever. So let me cut that off, then I'm going to drag it over here on top, and I've got my landscape staples here. I'm going to pin this down, measure exactly how far it is out to the first plant, where the first plant is going to be, which is right there, and poke a hole, and then from there on out it's every foot. The landscape fabric is 1 foot apart, so all I got to do is go 1 foot down the row on all 3 lines, and I'll have it all set up. So let me cut it and drag the landscape fabric over here and fasten it on this end. All right, got the landscape fabric in place, and got a tape measure down here. What I did was I measured from, before I put down the landscape fabric, I measured from the center of that valve right there over to, oh, I'm all hung up here, over to the staple, or over to where the first plant is going to go, and that was exactly 12 inches. Oh, you can't hardly see that with the glare, but I measured from the center of the valve over to here, and the first plant goes right there. That's pretty close to 1 foot on the big tape. I'm going to cut a hole in here, burn a hole in here with the torch, and we'll see how I did. Let's take one more look. We're all lined up. See that dragonfly? Giant dragonflies we have here. See it? I don't know if you saw it in the frame or not. Giant dragonflies here. They eat a lot of mosquitoes. Anyway, here we go. Right there is the fertilizer, the organic fertilizer. See it right in there? Perfect. So now I go every foot, burn a hole, and there's the fertilizer. Every foot. So I'll take care of that, and then I'll get back to you. All right, all of that work, and the bed is ready for planting. 32 holes in each row, evenly spaced on a 1-foot grid. Fertilizer down below the drip tape covered up, and then an organic fertilizer put on top of the holes. This should make it go. Last year I tried growing these, didn't have very good success. I did everything like quick and easy, and it just didn't turn out real well. This year I'm doing everything above and beyond what they say you should. They say garlic is a heavy feeder, and so I fertilize way down low, so when the roots get down there it should take off like a rocket. Anyway, we'll be putting the garlic bulbs in there next, and then turn on the water, let it get a little drink. And here we've got the garlic cloves. These are cloves that I bought again from Hoss Tools this year, and these are garlic that was left over from last year. You can see some of them didn't even make any cloves. They just turned out to be rounds, and so I'm going to plant those and see if we can perpetuate elephant garlic here on the farm now that I'm doing it better this year. So I'm going to plant these alongside of these, and we'll put one of these in each one of the holes. Man, look at the size of that thing. It's about ready to split right now. So we need to get them in the ground and get them growing. Be right back with you. Okay, there's not much to planting the garlic once you've got everything all set up. You can see these cloves down inside the holes there. Basically, I laid out a clove. They say to get the biggest harvest, you plant your biggest cloves, and so that's what I did. All the holes in the first 2 rows down there are all full of Hoss Tools, the new bulbs, and the ones in the back there, I'm going to plant the ones that were left over from the garden last year, or this spring actually. And so basically this is how you do it. The clove has a pointy end and like the rooty end, and you stick the root end down in it, and because this soil has been amended so much and fluffed up so much that you can take this and you can just shove it right down into the hole there, and you can see it's like 3 or 4 inches below the surface. And you know, with the what we did earlier with the drip tape and fertilizer, the organic fertilizer is falling in the hole right behind this and all around it, and the drip tape is underneath it, and the other fertilizer, once the roots start growing, is right underneath the drip tape. And so hopefully all this work will pay off. Wow, look at this. Okay, we've got them. Oh, I didn't get that one in the ground very well. I'll do that as soon as I finish up here with the video. Anyway, fully loaded, 96 bulbs of garlic, and man, we should get something out of this, because I'm going to pay close attention to them. I got them all on drip tape. I've got valves on each one of the drip tapes. I've got fertilizer underneath, compost amended into the ground, and not overcrowded. Last year I overcrowded them and I didn't do the water right, and a lot of them rotted off. That's another thing. It's very important that you put the drip tape underneath the bulb, because if the water gets on the bulb when it starts growing, it'll have a tendency to rot. And so if the drip tape's underneath, it just gets soaked into the roots and allows the bulb to multiply. So here we are. The only thing left to do is to throw some more compost in the holes, and I'll be putting some additional dirt here on the sides of these to hold us down in case we get some wind. I put the staples about every 2 feet along here for now. Little word about the staples, make sure you get the galvanized ones, because otherwise you're not going to be able to reuse them. The just plain old steel ones won't come out. So here we are, 96 bulbs in the ground so far. 96 bulbs in the ground. Yeah, right.